right, folks, what is up? Welcome on in to another episode of the Pegasus Actual Podcast. And oh boy, that was our brand new open. We got everything put together. And we got to say thank you to our boy Brightest Day because he just killed it with that open.
He did.
Definitely.
I know it's good because I always like looking at it.
Yeah, so it's much appreciated, dude. Amazing work. That's all I got to say.
Stellar.
So we have a great episode to discuss tonight, but first off, we want to say hi to the chat, and then we'll introduce the rest of the crew here. Mikhail, Emperor Corruption, what's up, Mikhail? Steven Saucedo, Old School Film and Gaming Reviews, what's up, Steve? Great to see you again. As always, man, thanks for being a great supporter of the channel and hanging out and checking out my streams all the time, brother. Appreciate you. Shane Nolan, hey, what's up, Shane? Awesome to see you. Tahilam. So we've got the chat popping so far. I'm sure a lot more people will be popping in here. And I want to go around and kind of introduce the crew. You guys already know BD, but we've got everybody's favorite Hair, who's kind of tonight sitting around in the dark.
I am. That's true. I am in the dark. It's that's okay, guys. I'll brush my hair and try to be presentable at some point. It's just right now I'm just giving my eyeballs a break. So.
Yeah. And I completely understand, brother, because I go through it as well. I get migraines from time to time. Middle age is a bitch, bro.
That's not why. Right now we're having biometric pressure shifts pretty much on the daily. So, so it's that's what's going on. So, but I'm good. I'm here. I can't wait for today's episode. It's going to be great. But we have a newcomer.
Yes, we do. And, I'll tell you what, folks, just in about, 10 minutes or so of conversation with this wonderful woman, I could say clearly she is going to fit in just fine. She knows her stuff. She is a Battlestar Galactica fan, just like the rest of us. And it's an absolute pleasure to have the debut of the wonderful Arwen Avalon.
Well, thank you so much. Hey, y'all, how you doing? It is my honor and privilege to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and you guys can look forward to the fact that she'll be sticking around. She'll be a member of the panel going forward, and she is going to rock the rest of season 3 with us. And then we're going to get into the nitty gritty of season 4 together and beyond. And I'm just so thrilled to have had her join the show. So, I'm very happy to enjoy her debut this evening, and it's going to be good. We're going to get into a good discussion. And we were actually watching some of the episode behind the scenes, but we've watched the episode before. And man, all I can say is, guys, this was a barn burner. I mean, leading into this story arc. I mean, my goodness, because we're just coming off of being shocked to the core last week. With the whole thing that happened with Kara, and then boom, right into this. So Zach, if you want to do the honors, my friend, and start us off in our discussion this evening.
Absolutely, sir. For everyone in the chat that is not familiar with the format of this show, and that should be very few of you at this point, I will read an outline of the episode scene by scene, and we will pause every so often to discuss between ourselves and to take comments and questions from the chat. This is Season 3, Episode 18, entitled The Sun Also Rises.
Hail Ruth Korean. Sorry.
The episode opens by bouncing us back and forth between the two de facto leaders of the fleet. Admiral Adama pores over the recently fallen Kara Thrace's service record file, grief weighing heavily on his face. His tears give way to a mild grin and eventually an amused laugh, as he leaves through her numerous disciplinary citations, awards for valor, and finally a personalized card, poking fun at his short-lived mustache. At the same time, aboard Colonial One, President Roslin picks at random from the names of all the ship captains among the fleet to serve as members of the Tribunal of Gaius Baltar. She stops short of reading the last name picked, with a shocked expression on her face. We then join Anders on the flight deck, standing on top of a Viper, drink in hand, flipping a coin as members of the deck crew look on. Racetrack retrieves Lee from the memorial hallway as he struggles to hang Kara's picture next to Kat's. Lee tries to get Anders off the Viper, and although he does, it's not in the manner he intended. Anders pleads with Lee for some hope that Kara is still alive, but gets none in return. Meanwhile, in the CIC, Colonel Ty relays the news that Adama has been selected for the tribunal, while on the flight deck, Baltar's lawyer boards Racetrack's Raptor, as she complains about his bad habits. As the crew argue about the necessity of the trial, an explosive goes off inside the Raptor. Racetrack walks out unharmed, but Baltar's lawyer is dead. And there's our first break.
Man, there was so much to unpack first segment. You know, it's funny how like little things like stick with me, but you know, when Lee was just the emotion. Well, to back up a little bit, just the emotion when Adama was looking through Kara's service file and then reading that birthday card from her. Like, man, again, just the way that Edward James Olmos can convey emotion. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, you just wanted to be bawling right there.
Yeah.
When you know he started like bawling, just remembering things. And hail Lola Meats, hail Tree Rock Creations. Good to see y'all. Yeah, it was just one of those things where man, it stuck with you. And then when we get to the point of Anders, because obviously he's in a state of grief, and you can clearly see that. It's just it stuck with me when Lee was trying to get him down from the Viper, and they were talking about just the way that and props to Michael Trucco, because again, you're going to talk about top-notch acting. Just that look on his face when he looked up at Lee, he's like, she's not gone. She's not gone. Is she gone? And it just ripped your heart out.
And then he says, I know. Like, he knew, and he was just hoping someone was going to tell him he's in a dream.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Look, I have to say this whole episode is going to give you huge respect for all of the actors involved. I can't say that strongly enough because of their ability to make you feel what these characters would be feeling. It's a gift.
Yes.
Yeah. What to me is so powerful just with these first few minutes is, one, we see the hole that Kara's death leaves in these three separate men. And we see, like with Adama, with him going through her things and musing over that, we see him, he's almost displaying the desire to remember that part of grief. That's where he lives. And then we see Sam, and he's displaying that desire to forget because he's getting drunk and he's trying to not process that. And then with Lee, where he cannot bring himself to put her picture on that memorial wall, we see that desire to not let go, to not accept. And the three of them are kind of locked in their own desires in that regard, even though they're not willing desires. It's where they are. It's where they're living.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
yes, they display that, just those few little scenes, you know exactly where they are. And it's so powerful.
Yeah, it is. Oh man. Your thoughts, Zach, what stood out to you?
I agree. I think, and we were talking earlier, much shout out to Jamie Bamber and his stellar performance in this episode. I think that the moment between he and Anders, and there are a couple, the one in this first few moments where the two of them are like locking eyes, and they're alone in that moment, in this moment of reflection, and as Armin pointed out, they're at different stages in the stages of grief, but they're both on the same boat in this journey.
Well, and you have to, I mean, those are the men that love Starbuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it's like they are in the same boat, but they are not anywhere close to, the same positions on that boat. And it's rough. I mean, think about the fact that at that moment they're conveying emotion in ways that, seasoned actors work decades to do. And these three guys delivered it right there on the surface. It was amazing.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
It's such a fascinating dynamic, because here you have, on one hand, Kara's lover, like her definition of, the one that she always wanted to have but never could, but kind of did, and and Lee was, all accounts, her lover. That was that to Kara. And then, of course, you have the husband that she also loved. And, it's just funny how at that point, with her death, the jealousy seems gone. They're just bonding at this point, trying to make sense of it together. And it's just amazing, because you would figure two people that would, that had previously been at each other's throats over Kara. Because, it just, it's fascinating, the interaction. It just,
They have that bond. They have that bond.
Yeah.
They did. They both knew her intimately. They both loved her intimately. And it's like nobody else can understand what they're experiencing. So, yeah, definitely.
All right, Zach, you want to pick it up?
Absolutely. After the opening credits, Rosalind conducts a press conference in an effort to reassure the fleet about the upcoming trial's security. In Galactica's squadron ready room, Lee doles out recon orders. It's clear that his state of mind is affecting him, as he makes mistakes in the orders, and addresses Racetrack as Starbuck after she makes a pointed joke to Athena about checking under her back seat. The room falls silent, and the squadron is dismissed. Adama and Rosalind interview Baltar's new counsel, Romo Lampkin. His dubious behavior and give-no-care attitude shine through. Later, in the Admiral's quarters, he assigns Lee's security detail for Lampkin, effectively grounding him as CAG. The weight of Kara's loss hangs in the air between them like a ghost. Lee shows Lampkin to his room, who then requests to meet with Baltar in a room unlikely to be wired for surveillance. Lampkin then reveals a book written by Lee's grandfather, before admitting to being a student of his. The next things we see are gloved hands preparing explosive charges. And there's our next break.
Yeah, it was, you can definitely tell that that it's affecting, Lee's job performance. So the old man is trying to make the right call here. And I look at it as, you can see that Lee doesn't want to be grounded. He wants to get lost in flying. But you could tell in the one part where the Admiral's explaining to Lee why he's grounding him, that there's also the protective father side coming out. Like, I'm not letting you up there. I'm not risking you dying.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. Any takeaways from this segment, Culture?
Well, he's lost 2 kids as far as he's been counting, right? He lost his youngest son because Zach failed basic flight. And sorry, I had to work that in. And then of course now he's lost Kara. So his two kids, he's got one left, and he's hanging on, because it's also the last part of Kara that he has, so because it's that close.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And he's and really this is a way for Adama to deal with his own grief by keeping Lee safe. Adama is processing everything through the comfortable, through the now, through the what he knows. He's not looking beyond that. And sometimes when you're grieving, that's all you can do. You have to hold on to what you have, because anything beyond that is foreign. And with Lee not letting go of Kara and making the mistakes that he's making, Adama's like, well, okay, I have to step in and I have to do something about it to keep him safe. And it also helps Adama because that's one less thing he has to worry about.
Yeah, and we have some great observations from the chat. Ruth Korean says, I can see the cast sharing a house and living together in Vancouver during filming. They seem that tight. And yeah, they do. They just have this great thing. Shane says he was great at being the lawyer Lampkin. Yeah, he really was. True Rock Creations brings up an interesting parallel. This reminds me of the Star Trek II Death of Spock. The script focuses on how characters deal with loss. Hail Agent Decibel. Agent Decibel. Hail to all. How characters deal with loss is much more interesting than just killing Han Solo with a lightsaber to the heart, having him fall into a bottomless pit, which is something evil characters are to do.
Well, yeah, that's 1,000% right. Yeah, I mean that, and yeah, exactly. Not good characters, exactly. Yeah, and it's not just that is so different than this. It's that there was no way to process through it in the moment for the audience, and even though I had heard going into the film for a year that he was going to die, I still didn't want it to happen, at least not in that way. It should have been far more meaningful. I mean, because believe me, with as little story arc that they gave, Ben Solo, it was disappointing. But beyond that, going back to this, the other thing too is in the Admiral's keeping it very close in his mind that he's almost lost Apollo Lee several times, and one of those times was almost of Lee's own desire, to float off, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. And Ruth Korean dropping a little knowledge bubble in the chat. Mark Shepard landed a sci-fi gig for BSG as Romo Lampkin from his work as a similar character type in Firefly. And when we before we went to air, Arwen had mentioned that he was very good in Firefly.
Yeah, he was. He was great in that. I think he was better in this, personally. I do too. The gravity and the depth of his character was amazing.
I do too. And Agent Decibel said the Colonials will react differently than the Cylons, since the Cylons have the ability to resurrect. And yeah, that's a good point too, Agent Decibel. Yes, absolutely. The funny thing is too, even after we get through this arc with Baltar's trial, we're just getting started with Romo Lampkin, because he plays a rather significant part in future events as well. So, the character sticks around, and they knew they had a hit as soon as they got the feedback from the audience. Because I remember when this episode first aired, everybody was loving Mark Sheppard because he just absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, I would say he's right up there in terms of tertiary characters with Kat and Tom Zarek.
Yes, absolutely. 100. All right. If you want to go ahead and continue, go ahead, Zach.
Cool. Sorry, noise. Baltar is led by Marines to Lee's quarters. Lee is present, but Lampkin assures Baltar of his silence via a confidentiality agreement. Gaius proceeds to write down more notes for his mouth. Apologies. Gaius proceeds to write down more notes for his manifesto, which Romo claims may be working in his favor. Gaius assumes that the prosecution will use Caprica 6 against him in the trial, and tries to arrange communication with her. Romo offers up a quote from said manifesto, which brings a confident smile to Gaius's face. As they leave, Lampkin requests to be taken to Colonial 1. Lee rejects the request, and after being insulted, threatens Lampkin with violence. Eventually, he concedes, and Lee manages to talk his way past Captain Kelly and proceed with the flyover, despite the Admiral's grounding order. We see a planted explosive, and as the Raptor door closes, Romo's cat escapes, sending the deckhands scrambling to catch it while the door is reopened. Chief Tyrrell crawls underneath the Raptor's belly to catch it, but in the process discovers the bomb attached to the craft. Later, Admiral Adama is infuriated at his son for disobeying orders, noting how, despite being assigned to security, he nearly died due to being led around by the nose by Lampkin. The two spar over their grief for Starbuck. The Admiral orders his son to do his job properly, as he will be on the other side of the courtroom as a tribunal member. And there's our next break.
All I can say, one thing about this segment, being a dad of two cats, I was kind of happy the cat saved the day.
So was I.
Just saying.
Yes.
But yeah, God, the thing that shined in this segment was, man, the exchange between Lee and his dad in the Admiral's quarters when they were essentially comparing their grief about Starbuck was, again, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a relationship, because the relationship between Lee and Bill has always been in trouble since the start of the series. But in the last few episodes, at least the last few of season 3, where we've discovered the family history of the Adamas and Lee's grandfather, and you get this notion that because the relationship between Bill and Joseph Adama was so rough, and because Lee is so much like Joseph, that Lee is almost this personification of his grandfather. He's so much more like his grandfather than he is Bill, and it kind of eats at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything to add, CC?
No, you guys are covering it brilliantly. Except that, I would say that while I did appreciate that the cat was the savior here, the story could have been slightly different if, like, the explosive just only partially triggered or had a partial failure and created a desperate circumstance. It would have made it more powerful, the interaction between Lee and Adama. It would have resonated more with his stupidity, because merely Lee was taking care of the security, which is part of the argument that they have. Is I was part of security. I was taking care of Lampkin and all of that. But I think it would have had even more punch if. And again, I'm glad the cat did what he did, and I think it's lovely. But it would have been better if they had to patch the hull, and barely make it back in. It would have added some screen time, and maybe it would have, changed the way the pacing of the episode. But I just feel like it may have added just a little bit more to the urgency in both of these men's performance in that particular scene. Again, I'm not taking anything away from them, because this is one of the highest rated episodes that I think I'll ever talk about. So.
Yeah, and I don't know, I would disagree with you just a little bit, CC, only on the fact that, the kind of like the sort of coincidence, dumb luck kind of thing with the cat jumping out, it just kind of gives you that sort of, I guess, feeling like, okay, somebody's looking out for somebody from above. You know what I mean? And I kind of like that dynamic, but you're not wrong either. I mean, the situation that you described would have had, I think, equal gravitas as well. Let's go through the chat comments real quick. Shane Nolan says Mark Shepard was very good in Medium with Patricia Arquette as the ghost of a serial killer.
He was also very good in Leverage as the foil to the main hero in that show. So yeah, he was in a lot of great stuff. He's a great character actor.
Yeah, Agent Decibel said he will be an interesting examination of a character with situational ethics founded on his personal glory. All right, culture. We've come up to a boxy theory from Ruth Korean. Since Arwen's the newcomer, do you want to kind of explain to her the boxy theory?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So because we lost Boxy from the first series that, was, in olden times, like, when I was around, and we only got like one real Boxy episode in this series as just kind of an homage. We always are trying to place Boxy in places in the series where Boxy might be. Sometimes they're humorous, sometimes they're kind of gross, sometimes they're completely deplorable. But at all times, we're trying to figure out where Boxy is, or at least the audience is. So,
yeah. Okay. And with that said, here we go. Ruth Korean, go ahead, Culture. I'll let you read this.
Boxy theory number 4867. In secret frustration for losing his Daggett in season 1, Boxy uses Baltar's old lab to try to create cat food for Romo. To be continued. Dun dun dun.
Nice.
I like that one, I have to say.
There we go. Tree Rock Creations, on to Brightest Day. I miss character arcs that people can relate to as well. Hope you can make it through this.
I will do my best. So, I know we were talking about the strength of the performance. Sorry, Drew, but there's a term that gets thrown around sometimes that I don't know how many times we've gone to this, but this is a tour de force episode from multiple angles.
Yeah. Outstanding. Hail to our favorite doctor, and that be Dr. Adega. Good evening to you, my friend. Great to see you, buddy. I hope all is well, Adega. And, Parrot Head's in the chat. He says, hail Dr. Adega as well. Want to thank Zach for showing some love. Yeah, folks, we're not monetized on the channel. So if you decide that you want to, throw something to keep the lights on, whatever, or help us get rolling on the Vegas meetup, it's always appreciated. And, we use the stream elements here to do a super chat, since we're not monetized on the channel yet. And really and truly, going through stream elements actually helps the creator more be, and this is something for when you guys watch other streams and creators are using stream elements. But probably if you really want to support, this is the better way to do it, because YouTube takes like 30% of every super chat. if you use stream elements, well, the creator gets probably 90% of that, and you only lose like 5 to 10%. So it's a bit better way to help out your favorite creator. So, just remember, just your presence here helps, and sharing out the stream and everything you do, and the fact that you guys are so loyal, so awesome, and any support beyond that, it's always appreciated but never required. And we're just happy to bring you guys a good show, and happy to have you hanging out with us. So there you go. Adega says, I could pull some old boxy theories if you like. Oh, Adega. Or you could come up with some new ones, but because I know you got some pretty witty ones. So all right. And Shane Nolan says, F YouTube. Parrothead says, hashtag beware the Drew. Okay. All right, we're caught up on the chat. Zach, if you would.
Before, actually, I'm sorry, Zach, but can I just add one more thing to this
Sure.
about Adama? Culture brought up a good point about, if there had been a partial explosion or, something to that effect where Lee had been hurt. If that had happened, and then we see the scene where Adama's like, no, son. It would have been like, I would have been more sympathetic to Adama. I would have been like, hell yeah, he doesn't want to lose. Look at what happened. He told you to stay put. You didn't stay put. Daddy knows best. But what it did is that struck me is I'm like, okay, is Adama actually making a good decision, or is he being this overly protective? Because again, it all comes back to his comfort zone right now, and the way he's channeling his grief is control. He wants to make sure his son is safe. And with there being no bomb or no explosion, it's like you can see Lee's frustration, because Adama wants things to stay still and he wants to be there. But Lee, even if he doesn't know it at this point, he is searching for something beyond himself. He needs to get out of himself. He needs to get out of his comfort zone, because that's not doing him any good. He can't move on because things are staying the same. And for his things staying the same, that's where Kara lives. And things are going to be that constant reminder that she's gone if things just stay as they are. So I found that a really interesting dynamic between the two.
Yeah, exactly. Very much so. That's a hell of a good observation, man. This lady is spot on, guys. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that Arwen joined the show. She is bringing it strong tonight.
Thank you. I love the show. I love the show.
As you can see, people like to give us a good-natured ribbing. We get we have fun here. Parrothead, we get spicy too. Parrothead said, "Drew's so big that he uses the rings of Saturn as beam rings." Hashtag beware the Drew. Ah, thanks, Parrothead. Oh, jeez, man. Now
that seems excessive and not functional in any way.
No.
You gotta tackle those black holes somehow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Black hole sun, won't you come?
Oh my! You're gonna get claimed. You're gonna get claimed.
New meaning to that song now. Parrothead says, "What kind of pup do you have, Zach?"
He is a cattle dog mix.
Okay. Agent Decibel, I guess he's asking about Arwen. Are you sure she's not a Cylon? No, I haven't asked her yet if her spine glows or not, Agent Decibel. I'll get back to you on that.
Oh my God. No glowy spine as far as I know. I mean, sometimes they didn't even know if they were Cylons, so jury's out. I plead the fifth.
Oh, geez. Okay. Dega's got a boxy theory rolling in here. Oh, he's got a long one, so we'll come back to it. We'll let him finish it out because it's a 2 of 6. Okay. LDG says, "Hey everyone, hail LDG. Great to see you."
Hail LDG.
Hello.
All right. Let's get back to it. Go ahead, Zach.
Okay. As Captain Kelly, Chief Tyrrell, and others discuss the bomb and the situation surrounding Baltar's trial, Callie floats the idea that the Cylons are responsible for the bombings and inciting riots, to which Athena disagrees. In Lampkin's room, Lee attempts to lay down the law regarding his security, but the lawyer is unfazed, stating that a determined enough assassin will find a way. Aboard Colonial One, Lee, Rosalind, and Adama discuss the conditions under which Lampkin will be allowed to interview Caprica 6. There's also an unexplained delay in delivering the files that were requested. Gaius is then shown in his cell, tossing it in search of his pen. As the interview proceeds, Six and Lampkin wax poetic about the paradoxical natures of human and Cylon love. Six is moved by Lampkin's admissions, and asks whether Gaius inquired about her well-being. Lampkin shows her Gaius's pen, telling her that his sacrifice of his one limited freedom is an expression of his love. Lampkin also informs her that, unlike Baltar, she won't get a trial, not even a bad one. Afterward, Lee and Romo discuss the latter's thievery and deception in the squadron lounge, and Lee tells a story from his past. The two share their individual perspectives on the life and morals of Joseph Adama and the law. As Lampkin returns to his room, crewman Fergursky delivers the files that were requested. As the box is inspected, one of the Marines notices a loose screw on the floor. His fast instincts kick in just in time to keep the attorney from being killed in the explosion that emanates from the sabotaged key lock. And there's our last break before the end section.
All right. Man, one thing that that we did gloss over, I think, in that segment is and I think she was referencing their court case, but when Admiral Adama and Rosalind are standing in the observation room, adjacent from the interrogation room, and and they're watching the discussion between Lampkin and Caprica 6, and when he drops that detail to Caprica 6, I think Rosalind turns to Bill and she says, I think our whole world just kind of dropped, or something akin to that kind of line. And I found that very fascinating. Do you remember that interaction?
Oh, yeah. When first she was like, oh, yay, she's on our side. And then she's like, oh, crap, not so much. Yeah. Well, Lampkin has such a gift. He starts out, he uses just enough truth to manipulate her. And he has such a gift. He takes out that pen. Yeah. And he starts he's working her. And she falls for it. And he has that gift. He uses that physical to manipulate that emotional. And then when you pan back and you see, Rosalind and Adama sitting there, and they're like, okay, how is this going to work for us? Because even though they want to uphold the law, they don't want anything to work in Baltar's favor. And they see, man, for the first time, this guy could really be good.
Yeah, and don't forget, one thing we know, folks, from the miniseries all the way up to this point, Caprica 6 especially is very gifted at manipulation herself, and she's not by any means stupid. So Lampkin being able to kind of get over on her too, that speaks a lot about the fact that Homeboy is skilled as a lawyer.
Yes.
Yeah, he has this uncanny ability to play the long game on everyone. And it's the little details. And the episode goes through great pains to show you those little details in blink and you'll miss moments that have big payoffs later on.
Yeah, for sure. Culture, any observations on your part?
Well, I think that the the skill that you guys are describing that Lampkin approaches all of his witnesses with, is more than that. I mean, it's master manipulation. He manipulates Gaius to acquire the pen. He manipulates the Cylon to draw emotion from her, or a displaced loyalty from her, or I guess placed loyalty. It depends on your perspective. But I find that he definitely has some skills, and it's wonderful the moment that the president and Adama look at each other and realize, like I believe both of you have said it now, that they're kind of screwed, because this guy is a very talented attorney, and he comes from the school of Bill's dad, or Lee's grandfather, as you mentioned, and so it's pretty interesting to me, and I think Drew said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and at least it fell like one generation away. So it's great. I again, this is the character actor that plays Lampkin. This is one of those skillful performances. Man, I can't talk tonight. But I just I don't know. I mean, every time I've watched these episodes with the trial of Gaius Baltar, every time they always become bigger than most of the other episodes, because they are so good. And again, they don't focus on side stories or side characters, right? The only side character involved here is this lawyer. And so when you bring in a quality person to be featured among the primary characters in your series, I mean, this is the way you use them, and it was well done. Unlike, and I'll give you an example, they brought in a great character actor towards the end of Game of Thrones, who only got one episode. He was the Sept. They were building a Sept in the middle of nowhere, and the Hound was helping build the Sept. And it's a crime that I'm forgetting his name right now.
Hold on.
Ian McShane, is that his name? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, and so I'm like, I'm like, this is the guy you should have had there the whole time, and that's kind of how I feel about the character actor playing Lampkin.
Mark Shepard.
Yeah, Mark Shepard. Yeah, I almost said Bruce Shepard. Yeah. That's not the right guy. But yeah, that's not right. But so it's just like I said. I mean, it just shows you that if you have the right pieces, things come together, and that's why casting is key when it comes to a film or a television set or a series, a television show, or especially series or miniseries, because they really. It really is important, and that's becoming a lost art. I don't think you guys would probably disagree with that, because you can see shows fail now all the time because there is no qualified casting director, right? They bring in people for something that doesn't have anything to do with their talent or what they're going to bring to the series. They bring them in for
diversity points.
Well, maybe, or sometimes for a name or whatever, but it's oftentimes a failure. So, and it's one of the reasons why long-running series, when a main cast member leaves, has difficulty sustaining. So, and I'll give you an example of that is when Gil Grissom left CSI, the original CSI show, when he left the Vegas program, right? And guess what? William Peterson is now coming back for the new CSI show because, number one, he is Gil Grissom, but number two, I mean, this is proper casting. Everything about that was proper casting. So it is what it is. So like I said, and that's in this episode, casting was key, and it worked out perfectly.
Well, especially when you have such an ensemble heavy cast.
Yes.
You have to have all strong actors, because if they're all getting pretty much equal screen time, if you have one or two turds, Well, it's gonna, the whole thing is gonna look bad.
Yep.
So yeah, to have amazing actors with such a big ensemble is just, it's chef's kiss. And this show, they do it. They nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Any thoughts, Zach, before I get to some chat here?
So I would focus it down to the scene and the specific couple of moments where Mark Shepard and Trisha Helfer are just nose to nose, lighting it up and eating scenery in that interrogation scene. I don't know if they had worked together on anything else prior to this, probably not, but the two of them had immediate chemistry and it showed, and it just lit the scene on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
And again, that speaks to Trisha coming into this show with pretty much no experience. You know, she's just a model that came in and she just killed it as an actress.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's awesome. All right, so we got some more boxy theories here. Dega provided us with a good one.
Boxy theory. Kleptomania was an ailment that poor Boxy suffered from. Stolen clothes, stolen identity, even stolen boxer shorts, hence the name. Within the colonial fleet, he stole anything he could get his hands on. Shores, cubits, even booze, and incriminating contraband on several occasions. His worst offense came when he started stealing sports equipment. It started out innocent enough with jock straps and golf clubs, but soon went wrong. He stole an arrow from the archery range, but in an effort to avoid the popo, he replaced it with a golden arrow that he found on Galactica. It just so happened that it was Athena's arrow. This led to the fleet going the wrong way and ending up in an area of space belonging to an advanced race. The problem was, they were both perverted and curious. The colonists ended up being prodded and probed and used as toilet paper after a local plague started.
Oh my gosh,
goodness.
damn that Boxy.
No bueno.
No, then we have another one here.
Boxy theory. Boxy's small size but keen mind got him in trouble with the underworld bosses. They put his size to nefarious activities. He now spends his nights crawling through ductwork like hyenas, acts of voyeurism. And he retired a year later, being very wealthy, selling videos to twisted colonists.
Well, there you go.
Gosh, man. Oh, and some other comments. Once Baltar betrayed the colonies, he lost his right to legal protections of the colonials. Best to chuck him out in airlock. Well, Agent Decibel says that Gaius is pie. Peace out. Well, Paraded. So big Pegasus model. Rocket was modeled after him. Great. Oh, geez. Shane Nolan agrees that Trisha Helfer and Mark Shepard had awesome chemistry. Rukuri in the base says, thankfully, most of the cast waited until after the series ended to drink the woke Kool-Aid and join the woke call. Yeah, that's a good point, Roof. And still, not that some of them did, but some didn't. I look through, I follow a lot of them on Twitter, and there's a lot of them that just don't even tweet about political opinions, which is probably good on their part. And then some do, some are the typical Hollywood liberal, but I think privately there's probably many more than you think that are sick to death.
You would hope so. I I don't know how much of it is them trying to maintain their position in Hollywood and how much of it they actually believe, and we may never know, but and unfortunately is what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so I'm gonna read the rest of the episode and close this out. Lee visits Romo, recovering from minor injuries, in a bed in sickbay. The Major removes several items from Lampkin's bag, including the President's missing glasses, a button shown earlier to be missing from the Admiral's uniform. He admits to being a kleptomaniac, his own personal demon since the death of his parents as a child. And also that, while he considered pilfering the picture of Starbuck Lee carries with him, he elected not to. Lee discovers one final object in the bag, which Lampkin claims to have lifted from Captain Kelly. Lee confronts Kelly, who admits to being the bomber, though he swears he would not knowingly have let harm come to Lee. Kelly remains adamant that the attacks will continue as long as he's free, solid in his personal justification for his actions. The Admiral attempts to reinstate his son as CAG, but the younger Adama chooses to help Lampkin instead. He does not cave in the face of his father's repeated objections, drawing upon their tortuous family history. Eventually, the Admiral, furious with him, declares that he's through giving his son orders. Back in the CIC, Adama orders the removal of Lee from the board and the reinstatement of Hilo as CAG. Bill makes sure to announce to no one in particular that Lee has more important things to do. Lee finally places Starbuck's picture on the memorial board, as she requested, right next to Kat. As he does so, Anders, on crutches and with his left leg in a cast, comes in. Together, the two begin to come to terms with losing the woman they both loved. In his cell, Baltar finds an envelope with his pen and a note from Romo. The note contains a poetic line, telling Baltar that there is no more powerful ally than a son who decides to step away from his father's shadow. And there we close the episode. Fortunately, it seems like we have lost Drew.
It happens. It happens. Yeah. Look, I mean, the end line is so brilliant. It speaks to how manipulative he is as an attorney, which is, stock and trade. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to manipulate and influence people to come around to your way of thinking. Oftentimes you do it with facts, and information, but sometimes you do it with a little chicanery or some level of performance and theatricality. So, he's very, very good at it all. The odd thing is he admits to the kleptomania, but in as much as it's, he claims it's something that, was brought about by his, circumstances and his upbringing, it may also equally serve him, or he realizes that it serves him for the very thing that just happened. I mean, he lifted the pen. Right. He lifted, and it's the little. What he's doing is he's stacking victories. That's kind of what that is, because he takes a little bit from everyone so that he always gets something out of the interaction or the exchange. There are a lot of people like that. Usually, in fact, actually now more than ever, you have a certain amount of narcissism in your interactions with people on social media. And so, Twitter and Instaface and Bookgram and all of that stuff, it all essentially is a form of narcissism, because a lot of people use it in a way for self-affirmation. You would like to imagine that the 5,400 followers that you have on Twitter actually hang on your every word and care that you had a tuna fish sandwich. Well, to be honest with you, nobody cares.
Testing. Can everybody hear me?
Yep. You're good, Drew.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Nobody cares that you had a tuna fish sandwich. So it's just, that's the that's the reality of it all. So there are many takeaways for me, but again, it's all because of the performance of the actor. And again, I really, really enjoyed it. It was lovely.
What did I miss, fam?
It's the last few scenes of the episode. I can reread it if you'd like to.
Oh no. It's all good.
Yeah.
Man, just sorry about that. My
Wow.
one of my buddies decided to pick the worst moment in the world to just call me out of the blue. I'll have to call him later. Yeah, it's this episode just blows you away. I mean, it's powerful. It's well acted. It's well put together, and it just I can't say anything bad about this episode. This is a 10 for me.
Well, we see those seeds that Lampkin. Well, first of all, he has. Yeah, I agree with Culture. He has this ability to just. He's not just a master manipulator. He has an ability to read people and hone in on whatever it is that they have that he can use. And we see back throughout the episode all these little breadcrumbs that he's leaving for Lee, bringing out that his grandfather was his teacher, but he hated him, but he just taught him everything he knew, and all these little things. And then Lee gets to experience the way he manipulates Baltar, the way he manipulates Six. And so through the whole thing, he's playing Lee. But the beautiful thing about it is that Lee is getting something from it. Mm-hmm. Lee is getting a healing from it. He is seeing beyond the bigger picture. He is seeing where he wants to go. So it's this strange kind of symbiotic relationship that they have. They're working with each other, except one of them is very aware of what he's doing, and the other one is just purely receiving.
Yeah, and in a weird way, later on you could see that Lampkin kind of becomes like Lee's mentor. He's kind of almost like is his trusted advisor after this, right. in a way. So, it's pretty interesting. We'll get to I get Zach's thoughts and more from Culture here in a second. You just want to go Culture. I don't know if you got this Boxy Theory or not. You want to go ahead and hit this one?
Boxy Theory. Boxy had mad skills at ping pong, winning every match he was in. Later, when under Cylon rule on New Caprica, Boxy started a tournament to see who was the best. Ty, unbeknownst to all of the colonists, was an Olympic-class player from younger days, so he challenged Boxy to a private match after Boxy was declared champ. Diving for a fabulous shot made by Boxy, Ty took a ball to his eye, knocking it clean out. Boxy was never seen again, while Ty claimed the Cylons took his eye.
Well, there you have it, folks. God. What really happened to Ty's eye? Oh, God, Boxy.
Yeah, I can see Ty. No, nobody took out my eye but a Cylon, damn it.
Yes. Oh, man. Definitely we want to say hi to Macklin Made It. Hail to Macklin. Great to see you.
My good friend.
Lady Mist, I just want to tell you again, thank you for all you do for our channel. Thank you so much for modding, for being a great friend. And I really do truly love you, my dear. Thank you so much. Lady you Mist. Are a pillar of this community, and you're amazing. And, Resvergam, hail to you, my friend. Great to see you. And let's see. Shane Nolan says, you back, Drew? Tommy. Singing nice. It's nice. So, yeah. That's Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you chiming in. You guys are always awesome in the chat. Resergam said, "Is tuna fish sandwich a euphemism for something?" Oh, I don't know, man. The way that a lot of all of us in our circle of friends thinks, it probably is. you know. Tree Rock Creations asks Nigga Outlaw, how does Boxy enter a circular hatch? Nice.
He cuts corners.
Oh, and with that, I'll go back to Zach for some comments and a score. What did you think, Zach?
So this whole entire time I've been trying to touch on points that the three of you have not brought up just to avoid overlap. And one thing that we have not talked about is a character that started out with the intention of being important but got pushed to the sidelines, that gets a good moment in this episode, and that is Captain Kelly. Those who may not know, Captain Kelly is the third in command aboard Galactica. Mm-hmm. And the actor who played him has made comments in the past that they don't know why they didn't use his character more. He has a couple of good moments here and there, but in this moment where it's revealed that he's the bomber and he has this conviction to do what he's doing, he gets a solid moment where he has had very, very few of them in the series.
That's true. And he was even part of the original miniseries. He was featured in a few episodes here and there, you're right, but not in a big way. And so, that's brilliant. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, and we're going to see coming up in culture, I'm sure you remember it, coming up later in, I want to say, in season 4, there's some events that unfold where Captain Kelly gets a pretty good, I guess if you want to call it, like spotlight, send-off, whatever you want to call it, because he survives through a whole series. But, he gets a good spotlight coming up in certain events of season 4 later on. So we'll see that. And Zach shed some further light in the chat. He's the LSO responsible for bringing Vipers safely back on board the Battlestar. And he also, does some different things around CIC. He's kind of a jack of all trades around the CIC as well. Mm-hmm. And he can cover, be the head of watch, whatever, So, Captain Kelly, he didn't get used a lot. And, and I liked him. He was a good character. And he shows it later on as well, especially. So, I don't know. What did you consider this episode, Zach, for you? What is it score-wise?
Absolutely a 10. Like, I know we throw that around sometimes, but this episode, between the introduction of a character that is extremely popular, the multitude of scenes where two characters are displaying buckets of emotion, the multiple small and large setups and payoffs, both within the episode and that lead into other episodes, it's impossible for me not to get this a 10.
Yeah. Culture, you on board with that?
Yes. 9.9 because the next episode's a 10. But it's really close, and it's hard for me to always give I could, there are 3 episodes here that I could give 10s. This would be one of them. So, but 9.9 because the next one's a 10.
Arwen, your score?
Oh, absolutely a 10. This is Lee's coming of age story to me. Okay. This is besides the amazing acting, the incredible storylines that they're weaving. Yeah, this is him starting to really come into his own out from underneath Dad's shadow, and it's just the way that they do it. 10, brilliant.
Yeah, and again, I agree. I concur with the rest of my brothers and sisters on the panel. This is a 10 for me. Just gripping from beginning to end. The way the character interactions were on point. It's just wow. It's all I can say is it blows you away. This is a wow episode for me. So and it's interesting because this does set Lee on an entirely different path. So this is a very important episode. Absolute 10. So we'll go around the panel. We'll allow everybody a chance now to talk about what they're doing, how you can support them. And we will start with the woman of the hour, the woman of the evening, and that is Arwen, our wonderful new addition to the show.
Well, I do have a YouTube channel. I do not have anything uploaded to it yet. Unfortunately, I am kind of challenged with technology. I had a husband who took care of all that. He was into what do you call it? What do you call those? See, I don't even know what the hell they're called. In software engineer, and he worked with computers. So he, anytime I try and go and do something, he'd be like, "No, let me do it. It's just easier for me to do it." Well, now it's just me, so I'm having to learn all this. But yes, I do have a YouTube channel. Just Arwen Avalon. Do hope to be doing something with it in the future. But I also have a Twitter. I'm pretty active on there, and again, Arwen Avalon. So that's pretty much what I have going. Since I'm still relatively new to the community, I'm getting to know people. I am loving it. Y'all have all been wonderful and helped me more than you know. It's been a hell of a year and a half. But so yeah, that's what I'm doing. So come by and say hey, and I'll say hey back.
Yep. And we'll go over to the wonderful man that put together our new open and the new clothes that you guys get to see here in a moment or two, and that is Zach Failed Basic Flight, aka Brightest Day.
Hey, Drew. I just want to start off by saying that if you have not liked or shared the stream out, please do so. And if you have not subscribed to Drew, please do so. We need to get him up in the sub count and get his channel growing. We need that final push over 1,000 because Drew puts in hours and hours of hard work, and it's really something. I'm super glad to be on this show. That being said, I'm Zach from Brightest Day. I do Battlestar Galactica content, Mobile Suit Gundam content. I am on a show on Mondays on my friend Ironcaster's channel where we do a similar format for the 1979 Mobile Suit Gundam series. I do Gundam build streams on Tuesday nights most days. Last night and hopefully in the future, I started a semi-regular, we'll call it it's an After Dark show. It's Brightest Day After Dark, where we start to discuss more adult topics. Last night we discussed the Axel Braun Black Widow parody with some rather interesting screenshots. Please go check that out. I really would like some feedback on that because I would like to keep doing that. Thursday nights, I am here. I am here for you guys. I'm here for Drew, and I love this show. Fridays, I usually take off, but then I do some short content throughout the week just to try to keep content going.
All right, and we go over to the esteemed gentleman known as Culture Casino with the wonderful hair and the guy that, again, tonight pulled my butt out of the fire as my internet decided to go completely kapoof. And
I had plenty of help. We have an excellent panel, lots of great insight, and thank you, Drew. This is always a fun show because we love this program so very much. I really feel like many of us know this like the back of our hand because we've probably seen it so many times, and it's funny. There's not a lot of entertainment that comes out nowadays that we will do the same kind of thing with. I don't know if anybody's going to look back fondly at, the zombie show that everybody talks about now, or I don't think you're going to get a group of people talking about Lost, which ended badly. I don't think you're going to have people that stick through this kind of a show for Game of Thrones, Westworld, any of the bigger programs. Consider this. At the time, this was the cable television program of its day. It was the Game of Thrones of its time.
Yep.
And it did not fail until the very last episode, at least for some people. For me, the last episode was fine. For others, maybe not. But I just want to say thank you to Drew for putting this together. And I'm very thankful for the panel that we had this evening and for all of you in the chat that hung out with us, because without you and your support, we wouldn't be here. We would be talking on the phone to each other, probably. But
hey, Culture, look, yeah. Tree Rock Creations has a challenge for you, apparently. Yeah. He says, every time you change your icon, it confuses me. Keep doing it. I dare you.
Oh, I do it all the time. I mean, there's always this little gem. That's one popular.
The Gaius.
And
it's Dr. Baltar.
Yeah, and then there's this one where I'm Elaine, a Battlestar Galactica. Notice how Elaine is in a commander's uniform there. So
yeah, hail to Tommy. Great to see you, Tommy. But yeah, Culture, again, thank you, buddy. You are indeed one of my dearest friends, on air, off air, and I love you like family, brother. Hopefully it works out that I can see you here in about a week or so.
Yeah, and again, if not, I will make it work. I have to go to Ohio anyway, or else Becky's going to get mad at me, so I have to go say hi to Becky at some point in the near future too. But yeah, I mean, it's fine, and I can't wait to see you if you're able to make it. If not, we'll figure something else out. But I'm all about it. So
and hail to Zach7. Great of you to come by. Zach's, make sure if you missed anything, catch it on the replay. We definitely before we go and do our closeout here. Again, we just want to say thank you so much to Arwen for bringing so much to the show. She's absolutely wonderful tonight, and
thank you, Drew.
It's just been really awesome. This is one of the best programs we've had in recent memory together. And, hey, next week you guys can look forward to more, because we are going to get into the 2-part season finale, Crossroads Part 1. So don't miss that next week. And remember, folks, without you, there is no us. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Follow me on Twitter at Supreme Heretic. Read me on Bounding Into Comics. I will see you guys again soon. And I love you. So say we all.
So say we all.
So say we all.
Right.